Okay, the following conversation with Justin the Juice Van-Hairston. He is a United States Marine Corps combat veteran. He's had two combat deployments, a War on Terror ribbon, two Combat Expeditionary Medals, and a Medal of Good Conduct. He's also a certified strength coach with 23 years of experience, competed in Pancrase in 2004, and he was a student under Dean Lister, Ivan Slavery. Ivan Slaver. I knew I was going to mess that up.
It's all right.
Maurice Smith, and was one of the founding coaches at the Mayweather gyms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then obviously does boxing and fitness at Prevail Boxing. And that's your own operation?
That's my best friend's business. I'm one of the head strength and conditioning coaches for one of the locations. So I'm there, and also at LAKO Boxing in Eagle Rock. So
oh wow, you're
I'm
all over.
the place.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And then on the more serious note, you're a 41-year-old recovered addict and a father of 5 and a grandfather of 1.
Yeah.
So you have a full life. And one of the things I like about your life the most is that you've burned the candle on both ends, you know. And there's a saying that they have that, can you know a certain amount of like joy or pleasure without knowing a certain amount of pain? Or, and so we'll get into that philosophical question a little bit later. But let's start with the lighter stuff first, just so we can have a little bit of fun. You coached with some marquee names in martial arts and trained under some marquee names like Dean Lister, Ivan, and what is it? You said Marvin Smith?
Smith.
Maurice Smith.
First, he was the second heavyweight champion in UFC history. Second, number 2. So he taught me how to kick. I started kickboxing in the Marine Corps. Got out, then started training for my first MMA fight. I trained under Dean Lister when I first got out, and that was in 2006. Started doing jiu-jitsu. Because of my addiction and being into drugs, I couldn't really get myself stationed. I couldn't get settled. During training, got one of my girlfriends pregnant, and that's where I all kind of and I was doing drugs. I was selling, doing drugs. It was just crazy. And I got my girlfriend pregnant, and that halted everything. Then I started training for another fight, amateur MMA. Got another girl pregnant. It's like I couldn't stop. I just couldn't slow down.
That is not a one of those things that is uncommon. That's I think probably somewhat of an alpha male trait to do that in some sense. But so you have the 2 kids from those 2, and then you have a father of 5. So you have another 3 kids too.
So I have 3. Those are my stepdaughters.
Oh, okay.
Those are my stepdaughters, and I call them my daughters. Just my family from my marriage with Brenda.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 19-year-old stepdaughter, 23-year-old stepdaughter, and a 26-year-old stepdaughter. And my 23-year-old stepdaughter has a daughter. So that's my granddaughter, Coco.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's 4. So
that's really cool. I think when people merge families and they have stepkids and your own kids, and then to step up and say, I'm going to be the same dad to these stepkids that I am to my own kid, and then create that kind of family structure. It must really hit home for all of your kids, but especially when you're their stepdad, and then you really take on that role as cutting out even the word step out of it and being just actual. How did you manage to do that? Or how did you build that bridge? Because sometimes kids can be defiant,
Yeah.
like you're not my dad, you're not this, you're not that. And so how did you end up merging it in such a successful way where you were able to take that role on?
I wouldn't say, it wasn't successful at first. I was definitely, me coming from my dad was very militaristic. He was in the Navy. So it was his way or the highway. So coming into this family and then going through everything, being a drug addict and all the gnarly stuff, being a combat veteran, all the violence, and then coming into a family that was really raised around faith and God. Brenda was raised in the church. Their dad was awesome, like flying colors. This guy was, they loved their dad. They were really close to him. And when he passed, it created a huge hole. So then I come in and I'm dating mom. And I mean, that's got to be tough for any kid. And I have a different idea of what respect is, or how you should talk to your parents. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So successful, it was not at first. Like at first, it was like we were butting heads a lot, and it was more me because I'm pretty like I can be violent. I can not violent like, but I demand things. I think things should be a certain way.
Well, you were brought up in a way that was in a militaristic, very structured format. Yeah. So obviously, you're probably gonna exemplify a lot of the ways that you grew up.
I'm a drill instructor, dude. Literally like a drill instructor.
I'm a Marine Corps vet. So yeah, that's gonna come with the territory, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I got spanked when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I literally it was belts, graduated, and getting punched in the chest. My dad was a big dude, so I can't take that same parenting. That's just bad parenting, first off. And I can't take that to this family that's, in my eyes, they're really special. They're untainted. And then dad passing away, their father, Kim. I come in, you can never fill that void. You can't fill that void. You can't step in and then be like, I'm dad. My rules are my rules, and you got to apply to them. And you got to adhere to them. You can't do that. You got to go in, and if you really care about that family, you got to be flexible towards them. You got to mold around them, or you're gonna lose them. You're gonna push them away, and I pushed them away. I did. So it was rough at first, but then, it just took time, and being softer and being more compassionate actually gets you further with kids. It really does. Than demanding them to be like do what you say all the time, and do it right away.
There's a saying like. I need to remember what the philosopher's name was. I think he's a Persian guy, but he said a clever man goes out and tries to change the world, and then a wise man learns to change himself. And so I guess my question is, how did you change yourself in order to acclimate this new paradigm as a father that's stepping into this void that you can't necessarily fill, but now you don't want to push them away and you want to make it right? How did you change yourself in order to achieve that goal?
Took time. I did it. It took a lot of my wife helping me out. Brenda is my rock. Like Brenda, I was an addict from the day from the day I came back from Iraq, my first deployment. I was an addict from then until the day I went to church with Brenda. I went on my first date, still high. I was doing meth still. And I told her, I was at a point in my life where like I was trying to get clean, and I knew, and I had been going through NA, and I knew the importance of being honest, and I was depressed. I was still fighting with depression. So going into this with her, I told myself I was going to be honest. I told her I went on this date with her, and I was still up. I had been up for like 3 days. Went to church with her on Sunday and never touched a drug again. Never touched cocaine. Never touched fucking meth. All of it was out. A lot of it was due to her and church and faith. Without her, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it's funny how that goes. Like when you have the right girl that inspires you to be the best version of yourself, and they can propel you to that level. It's got to be fun. I'm going to interview Brenda next.
Brenda's a different breed. I'm telling you, she's different. I'm definitely lucky that Tinder popped. That Tinder alert popped up. We met on Tinder. Man, I'm telling you, you can meet nice people on Tinder. It's not all about just meeting people and then banging and having sex. Yeah. You can find a good person on Tinder, and it happens.
I think people deep down probably do want to make a genuine connection outside of that too. So maybe sometimes that's a bad rap that goes along with those apps. Yeah. But it's lucky you found Brenda because, I have girls that blame me for things I did in my past lives. No, much less the lives that I'm in right now. But notwithstanding that. But yeah, Brenda was saying, gave a similar account in terms of going to church and how that helped you. And then that was the last day that you did anything in terms of drugs and stuff like that. So that's got to be a big... what's it called? A testimonial to Brenda and who she is as a person, I'm sure. But okay, so we bounced around a little bit. Let me see. I was initially going to start off light.
That's interviewing me, man. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, and I knew it was going to be kind of like that because with candles at both ends, there's no beginning and no end. There's just this, And initially, I thought I was going to start out light with just Dean Lister and what you thought about those, but we kind of just hopped right into that. I think the important stuff. And so, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you about what got you to join. Oh, you said you did Iraq. You had 2 deployments in Iraq? Is that what it was?
I went to Iraq, my first deployment. I was supposed to go my second, and we sat and waited to go. I went to Japan instead, but I still got my Combat Expeditionary Medal because I was on, we were staged to go. So I barely missed the second deployment to Iraq, but I still got the Expeditionary Combat Medal.
Very cool. Okay.
I'll take it.
So what made you join the Marine Corps?
Shit, I wish I could sit here and tell you some fucking awesome patriotic story, but literally I had a huge falling out with my best friend over a girl, and I just wanted to disappear, and I wanted to get away, and I already knew, and I was in college. I was flunking out of college because of grades. I had a partial scholarship for football, so I kind of knew I wanted to do military. And then this incident with my best friend happened, and then I was just like, I'm fucking out. And I signed the paperwork the next day, and then I just left. And I don't have a great story. I joined in June of 2002, so it was right after 9/11. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes, oh, you went right after 9/11, huh? And sometimes I go, yeah. That's why I went in. Yeah, I wanted some vengeance or some patriot. I'm a patriot. No, I went in just because I wanted to get away. Yeah. It was just some personal stuff with a bestie, and it changed my life. What happened with that made me the person I am today. I wouldn't have taken the path I went.
So did when you talk about addictions and the drugs that you ended up getting into, was that during your deployment, or was it afterwards, or was it a way of coping with some of the things that you experienced?
I started doing right when I came back from my first deployment, I was in the clubs every weekend, because something about MDMA and ecstasy, it was giving me the happiness that I was missing, and that was the only thing that I was messing with really when I first started going out, and I was in the clubs all the time. Then it graduated to cocaine. Graduated to that. So when I was in the States, I would be able to go down to San Diego on the weekends. That's where I'm from. And I would go down to San Diego, and I was stripping, and I was go-go dancing. And I was doing adult film too. I was doing some adult stuff, just to make more money, because I was blowing a lot of my money partying, and I wasn't getting paid that much in the Marine Corps. Yeah. So it just kind of happened. I don't mean to toot my own horn. I'm a good-looking guy. I'm charismatic, and I'm fun. So it makes me a perfect drug dealer. It really does. So I got into selling ecstasy when I would be down on the weekends, and then I go back to Camp Pendleton, and then I was the golden boy in the Marine Corps. I had high PFT. I was in the best shape. I could run 3 miles in under 20 minutes. 20 pull-ups, 100 crunches in a certain amount of time. I can't swim, so I couldn't do the recon duck. Surprise. Brothers can't swim. But I was in the best shape of my life, and then I had that other life. So the drugs started as soon as I came back, and then I went to Japan, and I popped on a piss test when I was in Japan. So we're getting all over the place, dude. Yeah. You still with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I popped on a piss test while I was in Japan. They told me about it. and they go, hey, we're just going to bust you down in the ring, and then everything's going to be fine. But what ended up happening, when I came back from my deployment, I had 4 months left. They put me in the brig, and then they kicked me out of the Marine Corps.
Huh.
Because I was an infantryman, and drug use is not tolerated at all. Gotcha. So they made an example of me, and they kicked me out of the Marine Corps, and I had 4 months to finish.
So even though they made the agreement with you just to drop down a rank, they decided later on just to try to make an example of you and do that.
And they did it. They screwed me pretty hard. When I came back, I went right into the brig for 30 days. But when I came back, I had like a weekend off. I smoked weed because I knew I was going in the brig and getting kicked out. They drug tested me again before they put me in the brig. They let me out the brig, took me out of my jumpsuit after 30 days, and then took me to my command. And then my battalion commander's like, Hairston, you popped on a second piss test after you went to the brig. You're going back to the brig for another 30 days for the weed that you smoked. And my mom was in the parking lot waiting for me. They put me back in my jumpsuit and sent me back to the brig for another 30 days. So I did 60 days for drugs, then got kicked out, and I got an other than honorable discharge. 2 combat deployments, and I didn't even get a fucking a good honorable discharge. I'm very deserving of an honorable discharge with just 4 months to finish, but they gave me an other than honorable.
So something like it's funny how other countries handle drugs as more of a mental health issue than actually a criminal act. So I'm surprised. Okay, so let's go back to so you went on deployment to Iraq, and then when you came back, was that what catalysted the drug use, or was it just a part of coping with a depression before the military?
It was the depression from the combat. So it took a lot of therapy to figure all this out, go down this journey with I've had 3 different therapists. The depression came from the acts that I did in combat. I still tear myself apart inside over the things I've done. I've done a lot of bad things, and I carry that. And when I came back, to kind of bury a lot of it and not face it, party, have fun. That's how I faced it. And that's where the addiction came from. The addiction was stemming from the depression. I had to figure out how to be okay and find some kind of like redemption in what I did. I did a lot of shit. I don't really want to talk too much specifically about them. A lot of civilian casualties were like, I killed a lot of fucking people that didn't need to be killed. I was at fault for a few like adolescents dying, and I carry that. So I brought that back with me. I'm still working through these things, and I always feel like I'll never make up for them. I feel like I'll never make up for them, and that's why I do a lot of like other things on the side, like I do fucking nonprofits, and I take fucking clothes down to Skid Row. I try to give back as much as I can because I can never repay the debt that I did, the things I did. I took people's kids from them. Literally, I've taken fucking people's kids from them. That's a lot to take in, huh?
It is a lot to take in. It's a hard because it's not like I can feel the emotion from you, and the anger and the guilt, and there should be a way for you to forgive yourself for it in some sense, even though I know you're feeling like, in a sense, that it's such an unforgivable thing. But at the end of the day, you're out there in the effort to serve your country. And this is where I was actually talking to Brandon. Brandon's our camera guy, by the way. And we were saying, or I was saying, that how we take care of our troops when they get back. So initially I was going to start off by saying, thank you for your service. But sometimes I wonder if that has become somewhat of a cliche statement. And I wondered how you felt about that, because I think historically speaking, when we think about World War II, when the draft was in effect and the country fought together to achieve a common goal for a righteous cause, right? And then nowadays, like, we have a volunteer army, and then for the rest of us in the civilian life, we're seeing it on TV almost as this like theater, but we don't get to experience the pain that I just felt coming from you. And that's where I think especially when going back to when you're talking about Japan and being put in the brig, I wish that they would have approached that more as a mental health issue instead of a punitive one, because at the end of the day, you're serving this country for whatever reasons are justified or not justified. That's a political conversation, obviously, but at the end of the day, you put yourself out there to do that, and then to handle it in a punitive way. I actually feeling anger when you told me that story, because it's just kind of like, okay, here's a guy, he's defending his country, he's going out and serving with the best intentions of, protecting our freedoms or our way of life or whatever the case is. And then there's no avenue to help you cope with what you've seen, what's been done, what war actually really is. And then you're left on your own, and then here are these drugs or different ways to help you self-medicate, and then, oh, that's wrong too. And so I don't understand why there's not enough care for the troops when they come back, especially when you have such a huge military budget. Again, it's a little more political, but I actually felt angry when you told me that story. I was like, how can they possibly punish you for something that is a very natural reaction to what you saw, So, on my end, I've had friends in war, and I've had friends that have been victims of war, and it's funny that everybody's dealing with some of the same emotions. So I knew somebody from Iran that came over from the revolution, and the things that she saw or that she described, I could see her eyes change, and the trauma would come back. And even like seeing a simple movie like The Hunger Games, it made her remember all of these things that she had gone through. And I think we underestimate in a gross way what the cost of war is on a human toll, especially for the people that live through it. Mm-hmm. So
it changes you. You're never the same after seeing combat, being in combat. You're not the same person that you were when you first went. Your parents don't get the same kids back. You're broken. You're literally a broken person, and you gotta acclimate. So they call it acclimating from being a civilian, being in the military to being a civilian, and they don't really put that much effort and time into doing so. Especially people, and there's thousands of guys with my case that have been kicked out after serving in combat because of drugs, because they have PTSD from the fucking combat. There's thousands of guys out there, like the Rambo syndrome. They're just out there, just landmines waiting to just go off on people.
Yeah. Has there been any advocacy from anybody in the military that says, hey, this is the wrong approach? Or is it just kind of just pushed under the rug for the most part? Or what?
There's people out there trying to make things change. Tulsi Gabbard's out there. She's pretty. She speaks for veterans. The DAV helps. But I feel like there's so many people that literally need help that they have shoved under the rug. I think there's just too many people. There's just too much money that they need to shell out. So I've heard that the VA has just papers and documents just fucking stacked up in storage rooms of old claims. People just waiting for claims health insurance, help, and there's just so many.
So the way our troops are treated is a way, in some sense, the way they're just stuck in bureaucracy.
Like
and,
dog shit.
Yeah.
I'm treated like dog shit.
That's a hard thing to swallow, because it to see everybody go out and serve their country in the most honorable way with the most honorable intentions, and then not be taken care of when they get back. I see that as something that is, it's an appalling thing. But they do say that, I've heard before that, and I just want to get your opinion on the statement, but they say that oftentimes, like, you can't kill a person without killing a part of yourself. And I'll leave that too.
I'd say that's true.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that way.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to end somebody else's life. It takes even more to go to a mind state where you could just do it willingly because you have to, because it's your job. Shoot first, ask questions later in order to keep your friends and yourself alive. You got to go to a strange place to be able to do that, and then to come back and not want to deal with things that way. Like literally, people piss me off, and I want to rip faces off. Like, I lose my temper, and I just imagine what I could do, what I want to do. And when you're trying to do that, and then you're asked to be a normal person again, it's tough.
Yeah, that actually sounds impossible, because they took a part of your humanity away that you can never get back. And then when you come back, they don't even offer an avenue to even try to find a way to refocus on it. And that's a hard thing. So when you went through that and you came back and you had all the emotions, did you have any thoughts of, like, a lot of people think about suicide or these kind of things? Or
yeah, I fucked around with that. Yeah, I failed at it. When I came.
So you actually attempted?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Ended up going to the hospital. Had to pump my stomach. I tried to overdose on pills, and alcohol. I didn't do it right.
I'm very glad you did not do it right. And
another fail.
Yeah. And for anybody that's listening, we're going to put a suicide hotline on the bottom of this video. And, we want you to know how much you're cared about and how much you're loved. And if you're feeling those type of feelings, to make sure you reach out to somebody. And here we have somebody like Justin to kind of let you know that there's a way out of this whole thing, in terms of putting that in some perspective, And so if you did have your fellow troops or anybody that's dealing with depression, like, how would you tell them to seek help or get out of the mindset of wanting to commit suicide?
You have to talk to somebody. You can't. Sometimes it's hard to just open up and tell somebody that that's how you feel, because that's like a sign of weakness. A lot of people see it as a sign of weakness. It always gets better. As bad as it gets, it always will get better. You just got to hang in there. You got to find a reason to keep going. And suicide is selfish. Not only are you taking your own life, but you're ruining somebody else's. You're like, you have kids, you take your life. There's kids that need you. You got friends, your mom, your dad. People are gonna miss you, and you're not. Not only do you take your life, but you wreck a lot of other people's lives. And it's the easy way out. It's the easy way out. Why take the easy way out? Work on yourself. And it always gets better. And you'd be surprised what you'll find to live for. You'd be surprised. You'll find something.
So when it came time for you, who did you end up talking to about what you were going through?
I was given, I think when I did it in the Marine Corps, I got like 2 days of watch. They did like a suicide watch on me. So
this attempt happened while you were in the military then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So I didn't have anybody to open up to, really.
Okay.
It was just like, they were like, all right, you okay? Like, do you need more? Do you need counseling? But the way the military is about it, they're not nice about it. It's like they'll ask you if you need something, but it's almost like in a demeaning way. Like, hey, pussy, do you need more help? It's more like that. So I declined the help. It was really stressful because then a lot of people were looking at me, all eyes were on me, and I was a high PFT Marine. I was about to get corporal, so everybody was looking up to me, and then I went and did that. So it was a lot more stress. Shit, I forgot the question. Where was it now?
Oh, we were talking about who you ended up talking to, and so they just kind of didn't deal with it in a way that was very kind in terms of what you were going through.
Yeah.
I'm stunned at that. I gotta say, like I thought I would have some type of follow-up question to be able to say, oh, this, that, or the other thing, but I'm really stunned that you would be going through so much. And I mean, I wonder what is I'm just going to look it up now that we're here. But suicide rate
in the military?
Oh,
it's high.
It's got to be one of the highest. So 24.3 per 100,000, and that was in 2021. And we were looking at 28.7 per 100,000 in 2020. That's crazy. So, yeah, I'm stunned. I don't even know what to say about that.
Divorce rate is high also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Divorce rate in the military is super high. Ladies, stay away from Marines. They're not ready for marriage.
So, who's your mom? What does your mom do?
My mom, dude. My mom's shit, dude. My mom is shit. My mom's a cop. She was San Diego PD for, I think, maybe 16 years, I think.
How long?
She just moved to Vegas. She's a bailiff in the courthouses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom, she became a cop at 40 years of age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was a banker. She was working in the bank system industry. That's
a big divorced career change. That's like,
My dad was he was in the Navy. He was in the United States Customs also. So he worked out on the border. And then my mom became a cop after he did that. They were always at the range shooting guns. This is before I was in the military, before I even had interest in it. So we were always shooting guns at the range. My mom decided to join the police department, San Diego. She trained her ass off. The schooling was easy for her. It was just all about being able to climb a wall for her was tough.
Yeah.
And that was part of the obstacle course. Being able to get over, I think it was like a 10-foot wall or something, and then drag a 175-pound dummy for like 50 yards. So the obstacle course was the toughest thing for her, but at 40 years of age, my mom killed it. And then she was on the street as a beat cop for first like 3 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was always worried about her. My dad was down on the border as a customs inspector. Fucking drug busting. So I was kind of from a law enforcement family.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I went on a police ride-along a few times, and I think the public does underestimate exactly what the police are dealing with. And on one of the ride-alongs, it sounds kind of dramatic, right? But, there was a guy with a weapon or a knife, and, they set up a perimeter, and they set helicopters off and everything. And they caught the guy, and they put him, in handcuffs or whatever. And so I decided to, just take a look at him. Maybe in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, maybe he just had a bad childhood, he was deprived or whatever, this kind of thing. Maybe he was just hungry. Any kind of excuse I was trying to say, well, what's going on with this guy? So it's at nighttime, and it sounds dramatic, but the light is shining from the street lamp. And it's shining right over his eyes. And he just looked at me, and I realized at that moment that there was nothing I could do to keep this guy from killing me or doing whatever he needed to do to survive whatever his situation was. Like, there was something that was just so not there. And
He's dead behind the eyes a little bit.
it was even scarier than that. Like, it was an intensity there in his eyes where you were going to have to kill this guy in order to stop him, you know? And I remember thinking like, I was sobered by the experience in a sense, because I was like, wow, these guys are dealing with stuff that is just far beyond the imagination of a normal citizen, you know? So it's police work is got to be one of the craziest things.
I was always worried about her. I was always worried about my mom, if she was going to make it home. She'd never been shot. I think she's fired her gun maybe once. She's had to fire her gun. So I got lucky. There's a lot of other families that are not, you know.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with the way it is now, cops getting shot, cops shooting people. It's so aggressive out on the streets now. It's probably best that I can't join the law enforcement now. It's best, I think.
This is a different conversation, but sometimes I wonder if cops and criminals are somehow a victim of the same system. I don't know how to explain it in any other... But we'll have to, we'll interview your mom on that one. But the reason I was asking about your mom was, like, you're going through all of this stuff. Were you able to confide in her, and how did she react to everything that you were going through? And what did she tell you, or did you keep it from her?
My parents are old school black folks. They're old school black folks, man. They're like, suck it the fuck up. Like, if you're hurt, rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
Not so much. Not so much. I remember confiding in my mom about my drug addiction, and she was just like, you're not an addict. She really just shrugged it off, and I was. My family has drug addiction in its roots, in its history. My mom.
It has genetic components. You feel.
My biological father, my mother, my brother, all addicts, or all used. And it's handed down to me, and I'm pretty sure my two daughters have it. So, I think back in the days, it was, I don't know. I didn't have a really good success with opening up to my parents about things. I never really did. So no, I couldn't open up to them about the suicide or the drug use.
Do they know about it at all?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I used to buy cocaine from me. So, sorry. We might have to edit that out.
Yeah, we might have to edit that one.
No, you know what? Keep it in there. Hey, if it gets, fuck it. Make it keep it in there. If it gets you views and shit, I'll just say sorry.
No, we got protection. We could probably have to edit that one
out. So, I mean, shoot, I know that some of the things that I did, there's a lot of things that I did that, one of the reasons I had to leave San Diego was because I was selling, and I was selling large amounts, and I had built up a large amount of people that I owed money to. So I left San Diego under those conditions, and I started doing the same thing in Seattle. I started selling drugs there. Something about selling drugs comes easy for me because I'm always in that party scene, and I'm always having fun. So it was just always easy for me to make money that way. So drug addict and drug dealer in the same body.
Yeah.
It's not a good mixture. It's not a good mixture.
Yeah. So, so all the drugs and the depression, you're dealing all of this, and then Brenda is the catalyst that kind of turns things around, along with the church.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Brenda then, and what are the things about her that compelled you to change so fast? I mean, practically cold turkey. It sounds
cold turkey.
Which is the most difficult thing. I had been prescribed oxycodone for a blown out neck from jiu-jitsu. And it was creeping on me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I need it.
Right.
And I had to stop. And it was difficult to get through it. So, sorry to interrupt you, but let's, so you went cold turkey. tell me about Brenda, her personality, how it compelled you to do the hardest thing most probably possible is to go cold turkey.
So you can't just go cold turkey. You usually hit rock bottom before you decide to get better. And I hit rock bottom. I was homeless. I was living in my car, and I was barely making it by when I was working down at LAKO boxing. I was living in my car, training boxers and fighters, training them by day. I go shower in the gym and sleep in my car. And I lived in my car for like a year, wasn't able to pay my child support. Had to, I was literally at rock bottom, and that's when I went on the date with Brenda. So I went on a date with Brenda, and I told her, like, I still use. I had drug problems. I relapse. I get better, but and I'm still like kind of high. And she has something about her. She's so easy to talk to, and it's hard to explain until you meet her and you've met her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she doesn't judge. She doesn't judge at all. There's no judgment from this woman. She has the most compassion. And she doesn't hold grudges, man. Like, literally, you could piss in her Cheerios and she wouldn't be mad at you.
Don't try that. She may hold that grudge. That may be the one grudge she holds.
She taught me how to, well, by not judging me for the things that I've done. And I tell all this shit you're taking in from me, that you're just, literally, this is you. All this shit you're taking in, it's like it's a lot. Yeah. She took it in on our first date.
Yeah.
On her first date, and you're not even thinking about spending the rest of your life with me. Like, she's thinking about that on a Tinder date. So I'm giving her all this fucking backstory. And even through all of it, combat veteran, drug addict, I've cheated on every girlfriend. I cheated on my wife. I have 2 kids and 2 baby mamas. Bro, resume's shitty. Resume's terrible. She still wanted to see me and still wanted to see me the next day. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, I almost wanted to tell her everything so that she wouldn't want to be with me. Cause I think deep down inside, I know I'm not good. I'm not relationship material. So I was almost trying to sabotage it. But by doing so, just being the most transparent person I could be, being the most honest, tell her everything. Still wants to go to church with me on Sunday. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And that was, I think, a Thursday night, might have been a Thursday night. We went to church Sunday. It was a game over from there. I was in love, man. I was just like, somebody who could make me change and be like this is somebody that I really want to be around all the time.
Okay, tougher question. Why do you think Brenda felt that way about you?
I don't know. It must be the muscles or something. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I am a sweet person. I have the best intentions. I've done bad things. I've done terrible things. But I think I know that those things can't define you as a person. And she's taught me that. I don't know. I can't tell you why she wants to be with me, Krish. I really can't. But literally,
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why.
Tell me.
It's not just that you're a great guy, but you're a strong guy. And you've overcome obstacles that most of society never could overcome. And you need to give yourself credit for that. And that's probably why, part of the reason that Brenda loves you the way she did, or believes in you the way that she did. And I think that she saw the potential in what you are today, which is a guy who helps people, who trains people in boxing to help them get confidence, to see themselves in a way that maybe they haven't seen themselves before. You are an amazing father and now grandfather. Mm-hmm. And you put your best foot forward in terms of changing yourself in order to acclimate the needs of other people.
I do, thank you.
And that's why Brenda loves you. And I think you should really give yourself some credit. And like, I understand the guilt and the anger and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know if there's any easy answer or if it'll ever go away, because it's just so intrinsically somehow a part of things. But you have Brenda, and I think Brenda sees those things, and I see them just sitting here, and I don't even, we've passed into the gym, but I haven't really, like, even this conversation, it opens up a lot about who you are, but I still don't know the depth of who you are,
so much,
and Brenda does, and I think that's a credit to who you are as a person, and I think you should really be proud of that, and for everything that you've gone through. So
thank you.
Yeah.
You say that it makes it's a part of you. If I don't beat myself up for the things that I did, then I don't continue to keep trying to get better. Literally, bro. That's how I psych myself out, and I make myself fucking work hard. As I go, hey, okay, this is gonna sound weird. I go, Juice, you're going to hell. You're going to hell. You don't want to go to hell, do you? Earn your way to heaven. I know it sounds stupid, but that's how I fucking keep on the straight and narrow. I want to go to heaven, dude. I don't want to fucking go downstairs and burn in eternal hell and fucking be on fire for fucking ever. That's not. I want to go up top, and then I want to have fucking real estate. I want to have fucking beachfront real estate and shit. And I know not everybody's going to heaven, so we're gonna have a lot of space and a lot of places to pick from. So not everybody's making it there. So if I just tell myself that I just need to make up for the things that I've done wrong, I'll always continue to work hard and do these things to make myself better. That sounds silly, but it works for me.
Yeah. Well, part of the human condition, I think, is doing wrong in order to discover the better end of what can be right, or more, virtuous, I guess, if that's the word. So I guess we're all in the same process in different ways. Obviously, yours is in a very, very dramatic way, for sure. And so, yeah. Well, Justin, man, thank you for doing this. It's a
no problem. You look
it's
exhausted.
a huge.
Is that a lot? That was a lot.
You know what it is? It's like I think I'm gonna sleep for 10 or 12 hours tonight, because I'm emotionally. It's emotional. Like I'm hearing you and going through it, trying to imagine myself in the positions that you're in, and not being able to imagine myself there, because, it's a unique thing that probably only a few people, like only maybe in the military and the police, can really understand what you're going through in that way, And so, yeah, I think I am emotionally a little bit.
Imagine being married to me. Imagine being married to me, dude. I feel like she's excited for me every time I get home.
Yeah.
And she gets exhausted just like talking to me, but she's in love with me. I've never had somebody literally just waiting for me to get home, and that's what makes me love her so much more. I've never felt this much love and concern from somebody, and she's literally the best person I've ever known.
Yeah, keep that joy, keep that love. You deserve it.
Thank you.
You really do. So
everybody deserves a Brenda. I think everybody deserves a Brenda.
Brendas are far and few between, though.
Yeah.
We're going to interview her and find out how she became Brenda next time. So we'll have to see. And then another special thank you to Brandon Anderson for doing the videos, setting up the lights, this room, and you turned something that was just a thought or a vision into something that's real. And I can't thank you enough for doing that. So, all right, sir.
It's been a pleasure.
Honor on my part.